this seemingly mess is actually going to become a collaged image using found materials and assorted papers to create a beautiful image for a May Day flower theme. So I'm going to move this pile to the side. So this is all our paper and found materials. And we're also going to need scissors and glue. And you could also use a glue stick. That's an option as well. Let me see if I can locate my glue stick. Here's the glue stick. So we can use both of those and we'll get started. So the first thing I want to do is, I'm actually making this in a sketchbook, but you can do it on just a piece of paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a background color, and I want to make a bit of an unusual, interesting edge for this. So I'm going to take my scissors and just freestyle start cutting and now I'm going to decide how I want it to be positioned on my paper. Kind of liking that, so I'm going to turn it over, and I can use the glue stick for this and save the liquid glue for a few other elements, or I can just go right in with the liquid glue. If I'm doing the liquid glue, then I'm just going to do small dots around the edge. The glue stick, I'm just going to apply that also around the edge. Okay, now I want to talk about some of the materials that I found around my house. One of my favorite things that I found was this sleeve for a to-go cup, which I thought would look great as a flower pot base. So this is probably my favorite of my found materials, and this will definitely get used for this project. I also found some colored cupcake liners. So I will show you how to make these into flowers as well. I found a spool of green florist wire, which this might end up being some of my stems. I found some scrap yarn, a ribbon, some buttons, sorted pictures and pieces of scrapbooking paper, and of course multiple sheets of construction paper scraps. So for this part, I'm not going to actually glue any of the elements down right away. First, I want to assemble what my design will be. So I know that I'm going to use this. This is a definite, so that is going to be there. And I like how it has a bit of a pop-up element, so it gives more depth to my mixed media collage. So this is going to definitely be part of it. And then I'm going to think of what I want to use to make some flowers. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the cupcake liners. So this one I've already flattened. I'll show you how to flatten one. So to flatten the cupcake liner, you're going to take it and open it up. And then it kind of goes inside out. And if I layer these, I can use my scissors and cut to make some fringes. And layer them more like that. So that will be one of my flowers. Now I can also use paper to cut petal shapes to make flowers. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to go with this one. And a shortcut for making multiple things the same size is, of course, to fold the paper. So if I fold this into even pieces, after cutting this, I should have 6 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I can arrange these to make another flower. This might be a good one to use a button for the center, or I could actually take the yarn and coil it in the center. All right, so I'm going to make another type of flower. This one might go in the background because it's a little bit smaller. And that one might actually look nice with one of the buttons. All right, so for my wire, this is a really thin wire, and really I should be cutting it with wire cutters, but I can also just cut it with scissors because it's so thin. And the wire, I will admit, is going to be hard to get to glue to the paper, so it might not actually stick as well. So I might end up actually using this to make some wired leaves instead, and use some green construction paper to cut thin strips for stems. Okay, so that is an option. Another option, which might be really fun, would be to try to make a rolled up more dimensional stem like that, and try to get it as tight as you can. Okay, so we have a lot of different elements to work from. I think it's time to start building our composition. First thing I'm going to do is glue this piece to this piece, and this is where I'm now going to start using the liquid glue because it's going to just stick a lot better. It does take longer to dry, so just keep in mind that your project is going to be very wet for a while. Buttons take a lot of glue. Okay, now for those dimensional leaves I mentioned. So to do that, I'm going to take a piece of green paper and create a few sandwiched leaves. Sandwich leaves are leaves that are going to go over the wire. Sandwiching the wire in between the pieces of paper. There's one. I can also use this to make leaves. Friends, so it looks like that my video actually stopped recording prior to this being finished. So I'm going to very quickly point out to you the things that were talked about in the part you missed, and also show you how to make this pop-up element which you also missed, unfortunately. So the parts that were cut out, other than this pop-out element, was the addition of this button, this piece being glued down completely, and me talking about how the wire allows you to bend and shape the leaves. So the wire that was put through the paper allows you to bend and shape the leaves, and also these were glued down a little more securely so that they don't fall out. So those are the elements that were added, and then the video didn't show it. So I'm going to show you how to make this particular pop-up because it's really cool and fun, and I don't want you to miss out on how I did that. And then that will be it. So I'm going to move this out of the way for now and show you how to do a pop-up element. So for the pop-up element, let me see if I can find a piece of paper. We'll use the yellow paper because that's just what's there. And what I did was I had a smaller piece, and that piece was folded. And normally I have a circle punch, but that's sitting in my classroom at school. So I'm using a larger button, and I traced around that button 3 times. But because I have the paper folded, when I cut these out, I'm going to actually have 6 circles instead of 3. So cut these out for you very quickly. Okay, after they're all cut out, you've got 6 circles. You're going to fold each one of them in half so that you have 6 folded half circles. All right, now we're going to stack them and glue them together. So I'm using the glue stick because it dries faster, but you can use liquid glue. It just will take a little bit longer. So keeping this folded, I'm applying the glue to just one side and then taking another folded one and stacking it on top. And repeat that for all 6. Once your glue is dry enough, you can open up the stack and you get a 3-dimensional pop-up. And that is exactly how that middle of that flower was made. So that's your 3-dimensional pop-up to create that flower. Hope you enjoyed this project.